This is Dr. Greg Hall once again with Better Black Health, brought to you by Genetic Sequence Multivitamins, still the only multivitamins designed to best meet the nutritional needs of African Americans, and also by the Better Black Health book, which again is breaking all kinds of records for a comprehensive book. Looking at Black Health, because it's the only book looking at Black Health. And so find that on Amazon or your favorite bookstore near you. I had talked to a guy, oh, she's got it. That said, I don't go to Amazon. I'm boycotting Amazon. So I said, go to the bookstore and go to Barnes and Noble. Amazon's just the biggest one, but it's not the only one. And thank you so much for having it. So today, speaking of which, we've got Lily G, a registered nurse, a licensed social worker and board certified psychiatric nurse, and a caregiver advocate with over 20 years of experience supporting individuals and families navigating complex health systems. And I actually work for a complex health system, so I know what you're talking about. She's the founder of Remedy Senior Care Concierge and the author of The Boss Caregiver: Balancing Life, Love, and Self-Care with Grace. Through both her professional work and personal caregiving journey, Lily has seen firsthand how caregivers, particularly African American women, often carry overwhelming responsibility while neglecting their own health and well-being. Her work focuses on helping high-functioning caregivers recognize early warning signs, reduce burnout, and build sustainable caregiving systems that protect both physical and emotional health. She's passionate about reframing caregiving as a public health issue, which I know a little bit about, and empowering caregivers with practical tools, boundaries, and support so they can thrive and not just survive. Welcome, Lily G.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Hall. It is such an honor to be here. I am so excited about this
Yeah,
conversation today because it's
it
needed.
is. It is. And I see caregivers, the caregivers bring the person they're caring for to me, and I can see the exhaustion in their eyes. And I also see the neglect, how much they neglect themselves. And I'm not even their doctor. And I feel like, you're giving so much, you're remembering all this. Are you taking your medicine? Are you do this and that? That's a common theme out there, isn't it? People putting the person they're caring for before themselves.
Before. Yes, I mean, it's just the stats show that people are chronically have chronic illnesses as a result of caregiving.
Mm-hmm.
So they're not even going to their follow-up appointments or anything else. They're taking care of their person. But, what's that saying? When you're in an airplane, you have to put on your
Right,
oxygen
right,
first.
right. Put that on first.
Yeah, then help the other
I'm gonna ask
person.
you.
And it's the same
I'm gonna
thing.
ask you a stupid question. Are there
Mhm.
caregivers that don't know they're caregivers?
Yes. Yes. And that was one of the reasons why I wrote the book because as I was thinking about caregiving, first of all, caregivers, we in our healthcare system, we don't give them enough support.
Mm-hmm.
As a nurse, when I do assessment, I say, okay, who's your support system?
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, oh, my daughter or whomever. But we're not looking at, well, daughter is working, has kids, has a husband, and may not be able to give you that
Mm-hmm.
support. How can we support
Mm-hmm.
them? So as I was, thinking about the book and writing the book, all these emotions started coming up with
Mm-hmm.
me. And my mother, who passed in 2014, but I was helping her. I didn't see myself as a caregiver.
Mm-hmm.
My mother didn't see me as a caregiver, but I was, but she was here like you're not my
Right,
caretaker.
right, right.
But I started having all these feelings like, it was stressful. I had kids, I had a husband, I had all these things, and she was independent, but she needed
Mm-hmm.
help. She needed help with going to the doctors, with grocery shopping at times, and as time went on, she needed more and more help.
Mm-hmm.
And so what I did, I said, well, it's levels to this thing.
Right, right, right.
you know so it's people out here, they don't even see themselves as caregivers, but they are really caregivers. And if you don't recognize that, and you don't start to prepare as your uh older person gets older, and as you get older,
Mm-hmm.
then you're gonna experience burnout. And so that's where I came up with the care framework,
Mm-hmm.
to say, okay, the care companion. In the beginning, my mother helped me. She watched my kids. I helped her. It's companion,
Right, right.
you
So it's
know?
not so much you're just giving, but like that you're
Yeah.
in it together. And it actually helps the person, it helps the caregivee not to feel like they're so helpless, doesn't it?
Mhm. Mhm. And I've had people walk up to me who read the book and said, "You know what? I needed this. I didn't even know." A lot of people don't
Mhm.
know. I didn't know, and the guilt because you feel having these feelings of being overwhelmed or not wanting to do it, and you feeling guilty. It gives you permission to say, "Let me step back and let me reflect and see what I need."
Right, right. I mean, life is
Because it's always what the person needs. That's the
right,
focus.
and it should be more of a united, more of a both ways, two-way street. What are both of our needs and whatnot. I was thinking about life as my oldest son turned 30 this week,
Mm.
right? And I'm thinking,
Mhm.
wow, I've got a 30-year-old child, quote unquote child, you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
I'm in my
Yeah.
60s, and I saw a lady, and I last week, and she called her daughter, and she's younger than me, but she needed someone to go with her to her appointment with the surgeon. She has a back problem with a
Mhm.
neurosurgeon. And I know she needed someone to go with her because I could see how she was handling her back pain and all that stuff kind of wasn't well. And it was like, wow, I'm at the point where I could need, people younger than me
Mhm.
need a caregiver, right? She needs someone to go with her to help digest all the things the surgeon's going to say, to remember all the things she needs to do to get prepared. And
Mhm.
she sees herself as an independent person. She's still working with me. She's out on disability, but she still has a job and she's independent.
Mhm.
But all of a sudden now she needs someone to go with her to the doctor. And
Mhm.
I'm sure her daughter's not thinking, I'm just going to this appointment. I'm not a caregiver. You know what I mean? But
Right.
she started crying, thinking about all the things that she's having to deal with. And so that's the point where they need your book, isn't it? Where they need to like really
Right.
start
That's
thinking
the
about
point.
how that works.
You have to think about it early on. I have a 31-year-old.
Okay,
Okay.
right, I get it.
I have a 31-year-old, and I said, "Well, you know what?" I have 3 kids. I'm like, "They are my caregivers." Even though they're not physically, because we think about somebody who needs 24-hour care or
Yeah,
whatever.
right.
No, they are the ones who, as I age, I will need to rely on them more and more and more.
Mhm.
And so at that, I guess, companion stage is where we need to start talking. What are my health
Mm.
issues so they can know?
Right.
You know, what are I was reading Dr. Sharon Malone's book, and she was saying about how even your emergency contact person, you just put your kids,
Right.
whatever, but they really should know your health history.
Absolutely. They
Yeah, they should know your medications, if you're taking any or what have you,
mhm.
because that's your emergency contact, and that's the person who they'll contact if something happens to
Right.
you.
And when you talk about companion, I also see amongst mostly my African American men, um, they take no responsibility in their care. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
They have no idea what medicine they're on. They have no idea what the name of their doctors are. They have no idea when their next appointment is. They take absolutely no responsibility, and their wives take 100% responsibility. And so when I ask them a question, they look over at their wife, and I'm like, "This is not your wife's problem. You're going to kill your wife." You know what I mean? Given
Mhm.
all
Yeah.
that whole your whole life's responsibility has been placed into someone else's hands, and that's too much responsibility to put in someone's hands, number one, right? And
Right.
it's
Mhm.
not fair, it's not respectful, right?
Mm-mm.
But people
Mm-mm.
do that, and that's also something that we don't talk about, right?
We don't talk about it. We don't talk about, your wife, she knows all the information, but she's not taking care of her health.
Mhm.
She has high blood pressure maybe or what have you. And God forbid if she leaves this earth,
Absolutely, and
who's your
listen,
support?
I had a guy with Alzheimer's disease. He was healthy as a mule, except he couldn't remember anything. You know what I mean? He
Mhm.
looked fit. If you saw him walking in, you say, "Oh, that's a very fit older black man." And a wonderful wife, very nice. She sat down at the kitchen table and died.
Mm.
And they, and I'm like, what? I mean, it's like I tell
Mhm.
people I've been surprised 3 times when a patient of mine died in my 35 years. 3 times. I mean,
Mm.
I'm, it's not
Mhm.
it's not a lot. And
Right.
she was one of those three. but she was
Mhm.
doing everything, and she just had a heart
Mhm.
attack and died. And then he came and he couldn't remember that she died. You know what I
Mm.
mean? Like he's like,
Yeah,
"Where is
'cause
my
yeah.
wife? Why isn't she coming in here?" And I don't. That's how bad his dementia was. But that ran her into the ground, literally
Mhm.
and figuratively. Do you see that at all?
Yeah. I see that, and I bet you she didn't even realize it herself.
No.
It's just something we do as women. We take on this responsibility. It's our responsibility to do all this, to manage everything, but we don't take in account how it is ruining our health.
Right, right. When do you recognize that you're even burnout? I mean, do you get a sense? I mean, you shouldn't wait until you're burnout, right? You need to be
No,
proactive,
no.
right? But when because
Mm-mm.
I've also seen caregivers abuse patients,
Mhm.
because they're tired and they're burnt out and they're wore out and they can't get any sleep, and it's like now you're abusing this person. You know what I'm saying? I
Right,
need to call
right.
Adult
Yeah,
Protective Services because you're
right.
not treating this person right.
Right, the way you talk to them. So in the book, I talk about SOS.
Mm,
So that's the signals that you're stressed, overwhelmed, support desperately needed. So that could be you're angry all the
mhm,
time, you're moody,
mhm,
um, like you said, you just not treating your person right.
mhm,
So those kind of things, you it's a SOS sign. Like, okay, you need to step back
right,
and let's see what kind of supports do you need
right,
because as women I find and I talk a lot about women and some people are like, well, include men too, which I do.
right.
you know but what I find with men is they don't sit in that
Mm,
long.
no,
Men are like, oh, who do I need to
yeah,
get? Let me get this
right.
person. But women, they will try to do it and do it and do it until they are burnt out.
Mm,
And when you're burnt out, it's hard to make any good decision
mhm,
when you're burnt out.
right. So when you on a day-to-day basis, if you're caring for someone, are there things that you should just make sure you do every day? I mean, what's some examples of some things that, as I know I'm a caregiver. I'm not at the point where I don't know I'm a caregiver. I know I'm one for
Mhm.
sure, right? What sort of things should I do every day?
Every day, you should know, first of all, you should know who is on your team, meaning who is your support.
Mm,
So, when those times when you are having difficulties, I can go to this person to ask for support. But most of all, is to take time for yourself. And I know I hear all the time, I don't have time for myself. I don't have time for this.
mhm,
That's the first thing. It's like, I don't want to hear about that. But we think of time as going off somewhere on vacation or, getting a massage or pedicure, although I love those
mhm,
things. But it's just those micro breaks. Like, let me have a moment,
mhm,
just a moment, just 5 minutes. But also, I talk about setting boundaries
mhm,
to protect your peace. What are the boundaries that maybe somebody, not your person or other people are taking advantage
mhm,
of you and setting those clear boundaries in that okay, maybe your time is between 1 and 2, that's my time. I don't want any interruptions.
right.
That's my boundary. Don't interrupt me between this time. And then you have to stick to it. We'll set boundaries and then somebody crosses, oh, okay, well, this time, but it's no longer a boundary.
Mm,
It's just something you see.
right, right,
So, but that's important, setting boundaries.
right. So now, if you have a parent, we'll do a parent for now, and I've
Okay.
seen where parents they get a little demented, and then they get kind of in their parent mode, even though their
Mm.
child is 55 years old. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? And
Mhm.
damn it, bring me so and so, or do this, or and
Mhm.
it's like I'm beyond grown, and you shouldn't be able to
Right.
speak with me this way. But they've gotta they're struggling with this change in their lives where they're dependent, and they may have been fiercely independent when they were younger. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
They're not, for a
Mhm.
lot of times with African American men, they're not fully understanding that they're dependent. I've
Mhm.
seen that where they have no clue. Oh, I'm fine. I can do anything. What are you talking about?
Mhm.
You can't get out of that chair. What are you talking about? I can do anything. You
Right.
can't get up and go to the bathroom.
Right.
But they truly, in their psyche, don't appreciate that. So when you're caring for someone like that, I mean, how, that's a difficult situation. What do you
It is.
do?
It is. It is. And you always want to look to, oh, well, this person need to change or what have you. But what do you have to do is in this situation, how can I have peace in this situation? Okay. So you can't necessarily change the person, especially let's say a
Hmm.
parent. Like you said, they talking to you like you're still a
Hmm.
child, and they don't recognize that they're declining.
Right.
Oh no, I'm
Right.
good.
Right. Right.
Nothing wrong. But you see it all around them, stuff is
Fall
falling
apart.
apart, and
Bombay.
you don't.
Right. Pompeii.
Right? It's just like, what do you
Right.
do? And I think, and that's the hardest part. Like, what do you do? And there's no easy answer
Mm.
because you have to say, okay, in this situation, what do I need to do to be in myself be peaceful about the situation
Mm.
and make sure my loved one remains safe if they're safe. Now, verbal or abusive, you could let them know, I won't tolerate this. I'll have to, leave or what have you, set those boundaries like
Mm.
that if that's something they're doing. But that is the hardest thing to do and to see because you see it and they don't see it.
Right.
Um, and I get that a lot. And also in my own family, I have loved ones, older loved
Mm.
ones. It's like, okay, come on,
Right. But
let's start having a plan. Let's making a plan. And sometimes you have to even in that talk to those other people supports around and say, okay, we see how this is going. Let's start talking and communicating and see what we can see. We think of it as it's just us trying to figure it out.
right.
But no, it's a team. We can't figure it out
Right.
alone.
No, and that's the thing when you like I'm the youngest of five, and so but
Mhm.
and I've seen it no matter how many kids there are or how few, there's always one who has more responsibility than the other. And
Always.
I'm gonna be
Mhm.
transparent. It's not me, my five. I mean,
Uh-huh.
it's not me. It's somebody. It's one of the other
Mhm.
five. It's my sister. Okay,
Yeah.
I know who it is. It's my sister. But it's not me. But that person is obliged to reach out to those other people and kind of make them step up more, isn't it? I mean, that's what
Right. It
they
is.
complain
And a
about
lot
them,
of
but they
time,
don't.
right, they
Right.
complain, "Oh, well, they're not helping me and I need this," but you don't know. I mean, we're living our lives, right?
Hmm.
And not to say that we don't know what you need, and people are not just going to just like, okay, yeah. And your strength, like I said with me, I don't want to cook, so that's not my strength,
Right. Right.
But I could come in and do some budgeting,
Right.
or something like that, or I'm not a sitter, so me coming over for hours that wouldn't work for me.
Right.
But me coming over and maybe going and clean some that works. So we're angry at people because they don't want to help, but they do. So a lot of times you're not communicating it.
With
Well,
and you got a little bit of you got like a violin. You want the woe is me thing. You're playing the woe is
right,
me. I do everything and they don't do anything. When in
right.
reality, you're saying if you ask them to do something, they probably would, but just ask them to do something that's in their wheelhouse, right?
In their warehouse. And the only way you could do that is communicate.
Communicate.
Hey, these are the things I have to go take mom to the doctor on these days every week, or I have to pick up the
Mm.
medications, or you break it down in those things that okay, it's something I do a lot. Who else can do those
Right,
things?
right. So let's say now you're an only child, and you're not the youngest of five, and you got a parent that doesn't have a husband or a wife, and it's just you two. What's out there for them?
So, your support system, it could be family, friends.
Hmm.
It could be, also with the community. There's support groups out
Hmm.
there. Um, with the family doctor, I mean, I'm sure it's like social workers you could tap
Hmm.
into to see what supports are out there. So, again, I always tell people identify your team.
Hmm.
You have to have a team. It should not be all on you.
Right,
And as you progress with the care, I say companion, assistant, active support. You getting a little more in there, regular care, and then extraordinary care. I mean, you doing everything. So you have to establish a team early
Mhm.
on so you can tap into that team. And who is on your team?
Right, right. And you need a team. So tell us about where we can find your book and tell us about the book a little bit.
So, The Boss Caregiver,
Mhm,
balancing balancing life, love, and self-care with grace. It's a book. It's a book you never thought you need.
mhm,
Okay, you never thought you needed it because it's not about most caregiving books. Is how do I care for my loved one?
mhm.
This book is how do I care for myself? Okay, so that's the difference in this book. So a lot of people like caregiver. I'm not a caregiver. Oh, yes, you are. In some capacity,
You just don't
in
realize
some
it.
capacity, you just don't realize
Right,
it. And most people are a caregiver in some type of way. You're a doctor. You care for your
right.
patients.
Mhm,
You have a personal life. You can care for your children and different things like that. We are caregivers,
mhm.
period,
Right,
in
right.
some capacity. So this is a book to help you identify. You need to care for yourself, and how do you do that?
Mhm,
And so you can find the book on
mhm,
Amazon. Logan Berry bookstore has some
mhm.
copies. Third Space bookstore has some copies as well. So if you don't want to shop on Amazon,
Right. Like I
there's
have some patients and militant patients that don't wanna shop on
right.
Amazon. I
Yeah.
got them.
Right.
Absolutely.
You're right. So I understand. So you can find the book there. It's an easy read, and I did it like that. So it's like you could kind of breeze through it.
Mhm.
And so yeah, so that's where you can find the book. And I'm on social media, Boss Caregiver with Lily G on most of the handles, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. And also, and I'm doing on Instagram, I'm just reading in the book, just reading the chapters and kind of just doing a little daily
Well,
encouragement with people.
that's great. That's great. And you had a copy of my book, Better Black Health. You just showed us.
Yeah, yeah, I love it. I'm like, oh, look at this,
Yeah. So tell me about it.
and the pictures. Oh my goodness, this is one. First of all, I like that it's big like
Mm.
this. I need this. But the pictures, oh my God. These pictures, I'm such a picture. I just love pictures.
Well,
I mean, look at these. I mean, and the information in here is just wonderful. It's easy. It's not medical like too medical and hard to read. Very easy to read. I love it. And it's beautiful.
well, thank you.
Put it on your table.
I
You got it on your table like
no,
that.
it's gonna be you. Just made a commercial. I
It's
hope you're okay.
I'm okay with it.
Absolutely
I
not, but I
love
really I appreciate it.
it.
I'm having everybody do that because I am going to make a little commercial with it. I appreciate
Yeah,
you. But that's great.
yeah.
Thanks so much, Lily G. We'll be seeing
Yes,
you in
thank
the
you.
social media world. We appreciate all you doing, what you did for caregivers, and what you're doing for caregivers who don't know they're caregivers and that are easing into caregivers, and and that like you say, being a caregiver, it's better to be whatever, we're in this some kind of an agreement, a co-agreement, right?
Yeah.
You
Right, yeah.
receive some care and I get some care and you give me some room,
Right.
and
A collaboration.
collaboration.
That's the word.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. Well,
Yep.
look, again, thanks so much for joining us.
Oh, thank you for having me. It was truly an honor.
Very good. None of the statements that I have made have been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. Genetic sequence multivitamins are not intended to treat, cure, or prevent any diseases. Furthermore, none of my statements should be construed as dispensing medical advice or making claims regarding the cure or prevention of diseases. You should consult your own licensed healthcare provider before starting any supplement, diet change, or exercise program, especially if you're pregnant or have pre-existing injuries or medical conditions. Remember, having a doctor is always your best option.